New York fights, and apparently our dog mascot also welcomes Umar Dzambekov. Pronounce your last name for me. I'm sure we all say that to you.
Dzambekov. The-
Dzambekov,
Yeah,
Umar
yeah,
Dzambekov,
exactly.
undefeated light heavyweight, appearing in his first main event coming up on Friday, October 3rd at the Chumash Casino here in California. Thanks for talking to us this afternoon. I'm sure you're right in the middle of training for this upcoming fight.
Yeah, I just walked in right home, right minute. I was almost late.
Not late at all. You're right on time for us. You're coming
Perfect.
off a good win in your last fight against Romer Angulo, which is an opponent I think a lot of people in the United States know. Certainly on the West Coast, we know him. And that
Mhm.
was a co-main event in June. But now, main event time, first 10-round fight. Your opponent is a gentleman named Artem Brusov, who is 13-1. He has 12 knockouts, meaning every single one of his wins is by knockout. It's your third fight this year, and it's a step up in competition. Certainly, it seems in his ability to be dangerous. So, which is the most challenging for you, facing someone with that knockout record or the pressure of carrying the main event on Friday, August or October 3rd? Which one is the biggest challenge for you?
Well, I wouldn't say carrying a pressure because every time I go into the ring, it doesn't matter if I'm the main event, co-main event, or just prelims or whatever. I go in there and I just want to win. So the pressure's if we're talking about pressure, it stays the same because I don't want to go in there and lose. And not only that, I want to perform as good as I can. So that's my main goal every time I go in there.
You're on the Hollywood Fight Nights banner here under Tom Loeffler, very well known, very much admired promoter here in the United States and elsewhere under 360 Boxing Promotions. How did you connect with Tom a couple of years ago and end up joining the 360 team?
Well, I got introduced by a friend of mine to Tom, and from there on, things got like rolling. Do you say that like that?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how it started, and then I got signed. I had my first fight in January 2023. I did 6 fights in 2023. Then I was like injury-wise home for I think like 8, 9 months. I went back to Austria, came back and had another 2 wins by knockout right away. And yeah, this it's already 2025 now, and I'm heading into my 13th fight in my pro career.
Yeah, in just a few years, and I'm sure it would have been more than that had you had not the time off. You did a
Definitely.
great amateur career in Austria and in Europe, and you looks like from your record you did have two fights, one at home, your debut, and then a fight in Germany. Was there consideration about maybe pursuing your professional career in Europe first, or
Mm,
was America
mm.
the destination all along?
To be honest, since I was a kid, I always wanted to go to America. The destination's been always America since I was a kid because I know it's the right place to be for sports in general, but especially for boxing.
And you are training in Southern California at a very famous venue, the Wild Card Gym under Marvin Samodio. And Marvin
Exactly.
and I talked about you a few months ago. We were at the Jake Paul Julio Cesar Chavez fight week prep. And as we were watching workouts, I talked about him fighting or training fighters who were a lot bigger than he is because he's not a big man. And he said, well, I think Umar might be the biggest man I have trained since Dennis Shapikov. How does that work? He is a small, very fast, very nimble guy. You're a big puncher. I assume he has to bring in stand-ins for you, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, let's say it that way. It still works. So he's still able to hold me mitts and stuff. And the most important thing about Marvin and me is the instructions. Marvin doesn't rush anything or doesn't force me anything. He knows my style. He just sharpens the style and he just tells me what to do, and I do it as best as I can. And here and there, we got like someone to hold us mitts or carry the body shield. And the most important thing, as I said, is the instructions I have from Marvin and the training he lets me do. So it's been working well, and um, it's a great team to have, definitely.
I believe he is an underrated trainer, and I think
100%.
I think a well-kept secret. Maybe we shouldn't really be talking about him too much, so that he still
Yeah,
can focus on you full time when he's able.
true. Let's keep it a secret.
Well, I think we will. Well, let's don't hurt him, please. Hurt him. You are from Austria, which I think
Yeah.
some people, until they hear you speak, aren't really aware of that. Um, how
Some
much of,
some some say I sound like Schwarzenegger.
well, that's not a bad thing. He's our former governor in
I
California.
I
My goodness, I
I
mean, that's sort
I
of
don't
amazing.
I don't mind. He's a big idol.
Yeah,
I love that guy.
it's a silly question people always ask, when somebody has something in common with a well-known figure, if you've ever crossed paths with him. But I have to ask, you ever crossed paths with him?
To be honest, I was one time meeting up with Tom at Gold's Gym, and I was standing there with a friend, and then I look over and someone is training with bodyguards. I'm like, who the hell trains with bodyguards? Who must that be? And then I looked really like close, and it was Arnold Schwarzenegger with sunglasses. That was crazy.
It's
I
amazing.
was I, w- I
Well,
wish I could have talked with him, but the bodyguards were like, yeah, if he just stops once and takes a picture with fans or whoever, then the whole mass is coming, and they don't do that. But yeah, I hope in future to meet him up, because he's from Austria. I grew up in Austria. It's something special, and I kind of see him as an idol for someone who came like already like 50, 60 years back from Austria, like an unknown town, to America, who made it in sports, who made it in the movies, like in Hollywood, and then in politics as well. So I don't know, there is not much more to achieve here.
it's an amazing origin story from a very small town, I understand. There aren't a lot of professional boxers of great note from Austria. Um, but your
I'm the
father,
first one.
you're the first one. Do you could pretty much claim, I think, that you are the most well-known professional boxer in Austria or from Austria. Would you agree?
Well, I would agree with that, definitely. Not, I don't want to sound cocky or anything, but I would agree with that, definitely.
Well, let me
Been
provide some of the receipts. Now, while looking at your social media, I learned you were featured in the daily newspaper of Vienna not too long ago. How
Mm.
did you know that was coming to pass? Obviously, they must have interviewed you, but it was a very prominent article written up after your victory over Angulo, so a fairly recent article.
Yeah, I knew about that one, and to be honest, one more article is coming before my next fight. It's a pretty big newspaper in Austria as well. And yeah, I mean, it's good. It's important for me to have that, and I just want more and more people to know about that. That's the only thing. As I said, boxing is not as popular in Austria as soccer is, or I don't know, skiing, but I
Ing,
want to make it popular. That's
well,
that's the thing.
you that's a wonderful goal to have because boxing, after all, competes as entertainment for
Definitely.
fans, certainly does. You're competing in a very competitive, to be repetitive, division. There is an enormous amount of talent at the top of the light heavyweight division. So without asking you about any of your future competitors, what are your goals for finishing out 2025 and then perhaps in the next year, 2026, which is coming very quickly?
Well, the most important for me is to be successful, to be healthy, and I just focus on one fight at a time. That's the most important thing. So whoever gets put in front of me, I'll focus on him, I watch him, I study him a couple times. I do my training as good as I can and be ready for the fight. Be victorious, and then focus on the next one. There is not much I think about ahead, like for 1 year or 2 years. Of course, I know my goal. I want to be the best. That's since I was a kid, and it hasn't changed until now, until this day. and yeah, I'm gonna keep doing what I do because that's what brought me here.
I understand your boxing history goes back so far in your family. You don't really remember a time when you weren't boxing, even as a little boy. Is that right?
That's 100% true.
And looking to your future, working with someone like Tom Loeffler, he has developed so many talents, particularly from European boxers. Does that give you a different sort of confidence moving forward, having someone like Tom who has had such a successful track record?
Definitely. It makes it more special because I told Tom before as well, when I was a kid and I was watching the Klitschko's, I would always see like in the ring before the fights, I'd see all these different coaches, Emmanuel Stewart and all these people in there and Tom. And back then I didn't think like I was just a kid watching all these people. I'm like, wow, all day. And then growing up and being working with Tom and being together with him as my promoter, it's something special. And I would not have thought of that as a little kid. But yeah, we crossed paths, I'd say.
One more thing I wonder if you've imagined, you get to that level, the championship fight, the big arena. Can you picture that moment hearing the Austrian national anthem before a championship fight, which I would imagine would be the very first time?
Yeah, I do. I do. I have to visualize it. And I'm that kind of a human being. I try to and I do visualize things. I imagine them, dream of them, and I just want to make them reality.
Well, the reality is here, and it's coming up on Friday, October 3rd at Chumash Casino for Umar. Thank you so much for your time. Continued success to you, and I will be listening for that Austrian anthem and remember the moment that we both imagined it happening in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.